Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai. All praises, honor, and glory be to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Quadash. A double honor to our apostles at Great Millstone who rule and teach road through the spirit of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, who taught us this truth, that we may, in the like manner of them, push this truth throughout the four corners of the world into the ears of the elect, so that all the elect may be sealed up before this destruction come. And the scripture that I always like to make reference to is that Revelations, the 7th chapter, which talks about holding back the four winds, so that it doesn't blow over the earth until the elect are sealed in their foreheads. All of you left there who are hazarding your lives to push this word and to lift up the names of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, a peace be unto you. And you you believers, that are out there that make up the great multitude, a peace be unto you as well. So in this lesson, we're going to basically touch on how these different tariffs, Salaki, these trading tariffs are going to eventually, turn into World War III. Now, before we get into that, basically through the spirit, I just want to grab the definition of a tariff for, those of you that don't know what a tariff is. As a matter of fact, I'll just, from this point of the lesson, I'm going to share as much of the screen as I possibly can. And always, we hope that these lessons are edifying. It's our duty, to warn the people, and by the people, of course, yeah, we prophesy, unto all, but really the warning is more so for the elect, of the nation of Israel. So can you grab what is that, 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter? A tariff, as you see right here on Google Dictionary, it says a tax or duty to be paid on a particular class of import or export. Fix the price of something according to a tariff. So basically, America, they've put a $50 billion tariff on the goods that are being imported from China. Because there was retaliation from China, and they put a 25% tariff on America's imports and their goods. It's gonna basically, you had Donald Trump talking about increasing the tariff to 100 billion. Now, if they increase it to 100 billion, then that would cause retaliation from China. And I don't want to. Matter of fact, go ahead and grab that.
This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the word of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true.
Kind, it said, speak in the ears of my people the words of prophecy. So although we're prophesying before kings, we're prophesying before princes, we're prophesying before all. We have to tell all their judgment, but really it's ultimately a warning for the nation of Israel, so that as many of them that believe the words of the prophets, that have faith, that trust in Yahweh, his word, knowing that his word is sure, that his word will come to pass, because the World War III was prophesied in the scriptures. The things and the tension that's going on between America and all of these other countries that hate America, it was prophesied about in the scriptures, before it came to play. Right now, what we're seeing is the scriptures manifesting itself, So before these things begin to transpire, you had the prophets prophesying. Even in this time, we're prophesying it before it comes fully into play, so that everyone would know when it finally happens that this is the will and the doing of the Most High. Go ahead.
Fear not the imagination against thee, but not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee.
Yeah, let not the unfaithfulness, because even though we're saying that these things are going to happen, or before we came on the scene, when the apostles and elders were saying these things were going to happen, you had people that would speak against it. But now you have things like the mark of the beast coming in. It's here, and people can see it. So now they can't scoff against it, like they used to. So you don't hear them talking shit. You hear crickets about it. I don't really see any videos from IUIC anymore talking about that that is June. Ain't no microchip. It's June. The mark of the beast is always on YouTube. It's always being something made on it. So that technology is out there. So the same thing is going to happen with this World War III situation between America and its allies fighting against Russia, Iran, China, and all of their allies, and one of the things that's going to happen to cause that to come into fruition is what you see on the screen. These different tariffs. So we're gonna talk about those in a second. But before we talk about it, let me read a little bit of this article. This is an article from I want to say it's from CNBC. Yeah, right here down at the bottom it says CNBC's Eunice Yoon contributed to this report. But I got this article from the Drudge Report, which is a good news source. If you want to download it on your phone, go ahead and download the Drudge Report. Download things like Sputnik News, RT. Another one would be Zero Hedge. All of those are good news sources to stay updated on news. I mean, if you call yourself a prophet and you're not staying current and updated on news, then you're not a prophet. Because what did Yahushua say? Can you grab Luke? Grab Luke 21, and I want to say 36. Matter of fact, just keep it simple. You can grab that, and you can and also grab Isaiah 62 and 6. To what? If you're a prophet, you're gonna always be on the watch. And then you're always gonna be praying, because you too want to be able to escape those different things that are coming upon this place. Hit the Luke first.
Okay. This is Luke 21 and 22.
36. Start at 35.
This is Luke 21 and 35. For as a snare shall it come on all of them that dwell on the face of the earth.
God, because even though you have the prophets on the scene that are prophesying, that are warning, that are lifting up the trumpet, you're still going to have ignorant men and women that don't listen, that don't take heed. Why? Because their eyes are closed and their ears are closed, because their eyes are blinded and their ears are dull of hearing. They can't perceive the message that we're putting out there through the Spirit of Yahweh. So therefore, they're going to completely ignore what we have to say. They don't believe in the prophets. They don't believe in the word of Yahweh. So it's going to take them off. It's going to take them while they're off guard. Go ahead.
Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man.
That's the point right there. So you're supposed to watch always and pray that you may be accounted worthy to escape these things. So what do? You read the Bible. You get familiar with the prophecies. You watch for those prophecies to come by way of what? By watching different news outlets, different media outlets, reading different news articles, All right. You got the Isaiah 62 and 6.
This is Isaiah.
And then if the spirit is heavy upon you and you're really a prophet, because you're watching for that news and for different things that happen, when you see it, you're gonna be compelled to warn the people. You know, the scripture says that I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem. The watchman is who? It's the prophets.
This is Isaiah 62 and 6. I shall set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord, keep not silence.
That's it. That's the point. But you can really read the next verse as well.
And give him no rest till he establish, until he makes Jerusalem a praise in the earth.
So the prophets of Yahweh Shem Yahushai are not going to rest. They're going to constantly prophesy. They're going to constantly make videos until the Lord establish and make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. But the watchmen are the prophets, you know, and we're watching for prophecies to come to pass. So to read this article, it's basically talking about the beef that is happening between China and America. And if you know any history of China and America, you know that China owns about 80% of the U.S. debt. You know, they're buying up the debt. You know that that the majority of the goods that are imported into America are imported from where? They're imported from China. You know, so just like every other nation around the world, they're sending their goods here to get rich off of the whore. You know, like it says in the book of Revelations, the 18th chapter. You know, and also America was at a time it was getting rich off of, you know, people coming here and selling their goods and, you know, and so on and so forth. But now America is doing bad because it's in thick debt. So now you have these elitists, which they're purposely doing it because they want to collapse the dollar bill, and that's the reason why they're causing this beef to happen between all of these nations around the world. You know, but these different tariffs, ultimately, what's going to happen is that China, if it continues to go along with America, you know, going tit for tat, they're going to eventually be the one that loses. Now, in this article, it says, and what I mean by lose is really America is already losing. You know, they're already losing, and that's the reason why they're trying to put these tariffs on you. Now, the majority, there's more goods being imported into America from China than the goods that are being imported in China from America. And that's the reason why I said eventually, you know, the Chinese are going to lose. And what I mean by that is going to hurt their economy, which is going to lead them to wanting to fight a war against America and to send their nuclear missiles over here to destroy the whore. It says if the U.S. goes through with additional $1 billion in tariffs, China will not hesitate to fight back and is already prepared to. A Minister of Commerce representative said, "We will immediately fight back with a major response." The representative said during the Salakia is kind of small. During a Chinese language briefing, there you go, see, briefing with reporters Friday in Beijing, we have no choice. We feel America is very arrogant. And this is the truth. When you read the scriptures, and not just, yeah, we have a greater understanding, you know, because, you know, we've been taught and we believe. So we know that America is arrogant. But even being prophesied about in the scriptures in the book of Daniel, you know, that scripture shows you that America is very arrogant. Like for an example, Daniel 7:20. It says, in the 10 horns, well, let me start up a little bit so you can know exactly what I'm talking about. This is Daniel 7:18. It says, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever. even forever and ever. So in all of this situation between America, because America just put sanctions on Russia too. They're putting heavy sanctions on nations. Which is stopping the revenue and the flow of the money of those nations. Those nations can't build their economy. They can't grow. So they're tired of America because America is very arrogant and they're very proud. And that's what we're about to get into right now. It says, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So eventually, when these nations destroy each other, which they will because the Most High is putting it in their minds to do so, the next people that are going to rule over are the Israelites, and they're going to rule over forever. This is verse 19. It says, then I will tell you the truth of the fourth beast, which the fourth beast is Rome. It says, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and the nails of brass, which devour and break in pieces and stamp the residue with the feet, because Rome had a very strong military, all right, which America is basically like the second leg of the Roman Empire. It says, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. Now that horn that came up, that subdued the other 3, that's America coming up, which subdued the French, the British, and the Spanish. And it says, whose look was more stout than his fellows. We're going to get into that word stout, because this scripture right here is defining this horde that we dwell in, this horde that is very arrogant and very proud. All right. When you go to the etymology of the word stout, the word stout, it says proud, valiant, strong, from Old French, a stout, brave, fierce, proud. Earlier, a stout, strong, a Germanic source, West Germanic stout, proud, stately, strutting. Source also of Middle Low German, stoat, stately, proud. German stows, proud, haughty, arrogant. So America is proud. They are very arrogant. And if you go down, there's also they call it a euphemistic saying or euphemism. It says thick body, fat, large, bulky in figure. And why is America bulky in figure? Why are they thick body? Why did the elitists get rich? Let's see. You got anything you want to bring out?
Yeah, I could grab a 2nd Esdras 9 real quick.
Let's see.
Just to further.
All right, let me make this point real fast. This is Isaiah 10 and 13. Because America, well, the elitists use America pretty much as their military. They're ruling the world pretty much through America. So how did they become rich? All right. How did America become thick body? How did America become large? It says, for he saith, by the strength of my hand I have done it, and by my wisdom I am prudent, and I have removed the bounds of the people and robbed their treasures, and I have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man, and my hand have found the nest of the riches of the people, and as one gathereth eggs that are left, have I gathered all the earth, and there was none that moved the wing or opened the mouth or peeped. So America is basically used as the axe or the whipping stick of the Most High Heavenly Father. But what did the Most High say about this fat one or this thick body one? Right? It's Isaiah 10 and 16. It says, therefore shall the Lord of hosts send among his fat ones leanness, and under his glory he shall kindle a burning like the burning fire. So what's going to happen is pretty much these nations, they're going to stop, trading with America, and eventually that dollar bill is going to collapse. All right. And when that dollar bill collapse, these nations are gonna uh, they're gonna be drawn into a World War III situation. All right. So it says, therefore shall Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, send among the fat ones leanness, and that leanness is similar to Genesis, the 41st chapter. The 41st chapter, dealing with the dream of Pharaoh, when you had the I want to say it was like seven king, and then you had seven ill favored king with lean flesh. The seventh well favored king represented 7 years of plentiness. So America had its years of plentiness, back in its earlier stages, back when America had the Negroes in slavery. But then after that, when you come all the way up to like 1969, America has been on a decline. So now basically Genesis 41:3, it kind of applies to America. And behold, 7 other king came up after them out of the river, ill favor and lean flesh, and stood by the other king upon the brink of the river. So the ill favored king with lean flesh represented the drought or the famine that happened in Egypt. All right. And that's the same thing that's about to happen to America, because America does rely on imports and goods from a lot of countries. But if America will continue to put these tariffs and these different taxes on nations and put in what are they called? Just use the word sanctions. Putting sanctions on countries is going to eventually lead to these countries not sending their goods to America anymore, and basically ultimately destroying this horse, sending thermonuclear fire on it, and being drawn into World War III. Kind of go ahead out.
This is Revelation 17, and starting with verse 15. And he said unto me, the water which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are people and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire.
Kind of the 10 comic market nations, the EU, even your own allies. Matter of fact, Obadiah 1:7 to follow that verse. Even your own allies, who eat your bread, are going to lay a wound upon you, are going to turn their back on you and fight against you, and burn you with fire.
Let's see, most 1 and
7. Obadiah 1:7.
Obadiah 1:7. All the men of thy confederacy are brought thee even to the border, and the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee, that they that eat thy bread shall have laid a wound under thee.
God, so that's the EU. There's other nations like Turkey. All of these nations that you think are your allies that are eating your bread, that you're sending money to, you're sponsoring something in their country, you're sending food to. These nations that you're doing free trade with, because America has about 20 countries that they're doing free trade with. All right. These nations are going to turn their back on you, and they're going to help to destroy you, help to take you down. Especially the EU. Now, I want to grab a little bit of another article, and then we grab a couple more scriptures and end it out. Let's see. Come on. And Salakia, you know, the internet is moving a little slow right now. But in this article is from a website called the soundingline.com. And basically is telling you, you know, who's going to be kind of like the biggest loser between this trade deficit, you know, between the trade deficit of America and the US. And I'm going to just hop down to the bottom. You know what? We ain't going to grab that one. So just do away with it. Hopefully that speeds things up. Well, basically what this article is saying is, it's saying that there's more goods being exported from China to America than from America exporting to China. You know, so let's say for instance, if America raises its tariffs on China to 100 billion, and if China responds, you know, to America, and America responds again and raises it to 150 billion, then the one that's really going to lose in the end run will be China, because America doesn't have 150 billion, you know, of goods that are being exported to China, you know. So eventually, what will happen is, you know, China will want a war with America. They want to destroy this place. They want to fight, and this is completely scriptural. You know, can you grab Revelations 16, and I want to say it's around verse 14.
Revelation 16 and 14. For they are the spirit of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to battle of that great day of Yahweh Almighty.
God, so America, you know, these rich elitists, because they use America, they use the Vatican, they use London. You know, the Vatican is the religious, you know, part. You know, because if you start it up, I think it should say 3 unclean spirits like frogs or something like that. Verse 13. Read verse 13.
Okay, this is Revelation 16 and 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon.
That's it. That's the London, which is the religious aspect of
London is the financial.
I mean, I meant to say the Vatican, which is the religious, and London, which is the financial, in America, which is the military aspect of this beast. Go ahead.
And out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. And they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of Yahweh Almighty.
Go ahead.
Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon.
Armageddon, which means mountain of troops. You know, so that's the whole purpose of America, and that's what you see in transpire before your very eyes. You know, because these trading tariffs are going to eventually lead to World War III. Now, the article did come up, it finally loaded. So I'm just going to read a few paragraphs of it. It says the majority of U.S. trade deficit is a result of trade with China. The U.S. trade deficit with China is roughly 375 billion, 66 of the total U.S. deficit. If the U.S. managed to eliminate its trade deficit with every country in the world except China, it would still have the largest trade deficit in the world. The rarely discussed truth of the matter is, in addition to a host of non-tariff trade barriers and intellectual property theft, Chinese import tariffs are over twice as high as import tariffs in the U.S. The Chinese feel the need to maintain such high import barriers despite their large trade surplus and far lower manufacturing costs is remarkable. They are trying to protect their high-tech industries from American competition while denying the U.S. the same privilege. The point is down here. It says about 19% of Chinese exports go to the U.S., making the U.S. the largest export destination of Chinese goods. Conversely, only which I believe that the percentages are way higher than this. It says only about 8% of the U.S. exports go to China. It says the third largest export destination for the U.S. Furthermore, trade represents a significantly larger piece of the Chinese economy than it does in the U.S. Chinese exports to the U.S. are also generally products that can be manufactured in other lower labor cost economies such as India, Taiwan, and Mexico. Given all these factors, China's overt willingness to take any actions to remedy a clearly unsustainable situation is likely to encourage, not deter, further American tariffs. It will be to everyone's detriment, but mostly theirs. So it's gonna fuck up, America, but ultimately it's gonna be mostly to the detriment of China. And why? Because America doesn't have that many goods that are being exported to China. So eventually, what's gonna happen is, these nations, because there's other nations that are like I said, receiving sanctions and shit from America as well. So ultimately it's going to lead to a third world war. Let me go up in the book of we're gonna read the book of Revelations, the 18th chapter, and I'll start at verse 1. You want to read it?
Revelations 18:1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitations of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every clean and hateful bird.
Unclean
and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
Because all of these nations, these people are sending their goods here to America, to this merchant city, because America is a merchant city, like it says in what is that, Zephaniah? The first chapter, Mektesh, which was a merchant city. America is Mektesh. These countries are sending their goods here to get rich. Go ahead.
And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
Mm-hmm.
For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled to her double.
Mm-hmm.
How much as, or Slaki, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow.
And that's the pride of America right there. You know, that's going back into that in that pride. They think that they can do all of these different things. You know, take the Israelites into slavery. You know, they spilled the blood of all of the Israelites, the northern and southern kingdom. You know, they killed so many of our people. Ultimately, hey, this third world, this World War III is pretty much to bring judgment upon all of these nations for. You know, but just to speak on America right now, you know, America is very proud and very haughty. Can you grab Isaiah 47:9? Because that's the pride of America. She's saying that I sit a queen and am no widow. There hasn't been any but besides the Civil War, you know, which was some bullshit anyway. There hasn't been a great war that's been fought on America. This place is pretty much a virgin. You know, it's pretty much untouched. And because they believe that they sit over here and they so far from the rest of the world that they can't be touched, that they'll be all right. They feel like you got the biggest military in the world, but your military is stretched thin. Your military is scattered all throughout the four corners of the world. And once your military, or the remnant of the military that you can provide to go and fight in World War III, once you're drawn over into the Middle East, then that's it. You know, you got it.
Isaiah 47:9. But these two things.
Go up to 8, Salakia.
Verse 8. Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasure, that dwellest carelessly, that saith in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow.
And that's a proud statement, because when you go back into the book of Exodus, who else said that I am?
Pharaoh.
No, it was the Most High.
Oh, Salaki.
It was the Most High. You know, he said, I am that I am. You know, so for them to make that statement, that's basically showing you that these elitists, they want to be like the Most High. They want to be like God. Go ahead. Want to be like Yahweh.
And I mentioned it later in this the same chapter. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood, they shall come upon thee in their perfection.
So that means in their perfection. All right. Well, that perfection is going to be those thermonuclear missiles that are shot over here that completely destroys everything, you know, in an hour, like in one day, like it's about to say in this next verse. This is Revelations 18:8. It says, there shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is Yahweh that judgeth her. It says, in the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. You know, so these other nations are going to shoot thermonuclear missiles upon America. 200 million missiles, or 200 million, you know, warheads are going to be shot over here to America, and they're going to burn this place to a crisp. They're going to break up the line of confusion. They're going to end this place, you know? But ultimately, all of those nations are going to be ended in World War III. This is verse 10. It says, standing of the merchants were standing afar off for the fear of her torment. You know, they're watching this place, you know, be ablaze, saying, alas, alas, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for 1 hour is her judgment come. And Putin has a missile that can make it over here in minutes, man. You know, used to be like 30 minutes, but now that they have a hypersonic missile that can make it over here within minutes, within seconds. It says, and the merchant of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Why? because all of these nations were sending their goods here to America to be bought. There's the goods that we have in America are sent from all around the world, but predominantly what nation? Matter of fact, I got a water bottle in front of me right now. I bet you if I look at it, it's gonna say, well, probably not the water bottle. Let's look at this. This is a portable charging pack. And surprisingly, it doesn't say it. But usually, pretty much anything you buy. Okay, yeah, it says it right here. It says this designed in California, made in China. You know, pretty much anything that you look at is gonna say made in China, because the majority of the things that you purchase are made in China. This is Revelations 18 and 12. It says the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all fine wood and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. So you still gotta, pay for what you did to the Lord's people in slavery. No, because before the southern kingdom of Israel, which consists of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, but before you took them out of the coast of Africa, and brought them to America during the transatlantic slave trade, you did it to their brethren, the northern kingdom of Israel. Which consists of the Latinos, the Native Americans, and the people that dwelt in the islands surrounding America. You brought them, over back to Spain in cargo slave ships. All right. So you still got to deal with that. And the Most High is judging you and judging all of these nations, because there's no kingdom, like it says in the book of Maccabees, there's no kingdom that haven't had hasn't been a partaker, in our nation going into slavery. It says, in the fruits that thy soul lusteth after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchant of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in one hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off. Yeah, because these nations don't, you probably got some goods that come here on airplanes, but the majority of things that are shipped to America, they're shipped in those great big shipping containers, and it's shipped by way of sea, because it's less costly, it's cheaper to ship them over here in abundant of those shipping containers on a big galley, on a big ship, by way of sea. It says, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is likened to this great city? Yeah, because all of these nations around the world were made rich off of America. But now they're tired of this place, because they're tired of the tariffs. They're tired of the sanctions. So now these nations are upset, and eventually these tariffs and sanctions are going to lead to these nations not wanting to be under your rulership anymore. These nations wanting to do away with you, wanting to destroy America completely. And it's the Most High that's putting it in the mind of these nations to get stirred up like that, or putting it in your mind to stir up these nations. You got something? Okay.
Joel 3 and 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare a war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw nigh or near. Let them come up, Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears.
That means prepare for the battle. You know, get ready for war. Go ahead.
Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about.
And why are these weak nations that were once afraid of America, you know, which once said, who is likened to the beast, who can make war with it? Why are they not afraid to come up against America or against NATO now? Because they have that same technology that they have. Even more, they have thermonuclear technology. They have thermonuclear weapons. And that's the reason why America goes around the world and try to make nuclear arms agreements with other nations to stop the production of nuclear weapons, because they don't want nations being as strong as them. If you have weapons like that and other nations don't, that gives you the advantage over them. So America is trying to maintain that advantage, maintain that dominance over these other countries. But now they have thermonuclear technology and they're tired of your bullshit. So the Most High is putting it on their mind to use them. Go ahead. That's the reason why they say that let the weak say I am strong. That's the reason why they're strong now. Go ahead.
Assemble yourselves and come up, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together around about. Did it cause thy mighty ones to come down?
So even the angels are going to come down, you know, and fight in World War III. Those mighty ones are going to be the, you know, Yahushua and the angels are going to be the ones that pretty much kill a lot of these nations in the valley of Yahushua, you know, in the valley of Armageddon, the mountain of troops. And that's the reason why we're going to have to sever out, you know, Edomites and continue in employment to bury these the dead bodies of the slain that are going to be over there in the valley of Yahushua. Go ahead.
Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Yahushua, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great.
So the sickle represents the thermonuclear missiles, you know, so it's time to put in those thermonuclear missiles, you know, and that's what we're seeing, you know, in these different news articles that we're reading, you know, that this time is drawn now, is ready, you know. So I wanted to grab this one, this last and final. Well, I'll grab one more after this. But China has a thermonuclear missile called Dongfeng, you know, which is called East Wind. This is Jeremiah 51:1. It says, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me, a destroying wind. And I will send upon unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her for Salakia. It says, for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. You know, so all of these nations that have the bow, that have the ICBM missile, that have the glittering spears, you know, that thermonuclear weaponry, they're going to use it on America to destroy this place. All right. And just jumping back to Daniel's 7:11. It says, and I behold, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. You know, so you're going to be destroyed, you know, America, you know, all of you other nations in the valley of Yahushua when you fight World War III. You know, because like it says in the book of Joel, this is the controversy of Zion, man. You know, it's because of it's because of the things that America and these other nations have done against the people of the Lord. You know, jumping up to Joel 3:1, it says, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, you know, when the Lord shall bring again the captivity of Israel, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yahushua, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among all the nations and parted my lands. You know, so the Most High is about to destroy you, you nations, you kings. All right. And you rich elitists, you're going into slavery. America is through, man. All right. America is how do they say it? The mime is through. You know. So with that, hey, we hope this lesson has been edifying. You know, these different tariffs that America is putting on these other nations is going to eventually lead and cause these other nations to get in an uproar, you know, and want to fight a third world war against America and to shoot their missiles over here, you know, because really these nations have the most to lose. America's already lost. Their economy is shitty. They're through. And what they're trying to do is trying to regain that dominance in the world. And it ain't going to happen. You know, it ain't going to do nothing but cause these other nations to want to get drawn into that third world war and to send those nukes over here to destroy y'all asses. You know? So, hey, Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahushai, hey, all praises, honor, and glory be to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, a double honor to our apostles at Great Millstone who rule and teach road through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and peace, love, and mercy be unto the elect. You know? Shalom, Maki.
Shalom.